The issue you start running into is in long-range gunfights, 100 meters or so. I've been used to using the MTZ-762 for the last, 2-3 weeks. That gun with iron sights at 100 meters, I can hit every single bullet on some guy, let's say, standing on a roof. I can hit every single bullet on that guy. With the Subverter, even mounted up at 100 meters, you are absolutely missing shots on a target that's not even moving.
Activision devs do not play their own game.
3,000 devs can't figure out how to add a reconnect feature to a AAA title, I guess. I don't know.
Because Infinity Ward doesn't tell their consumers anything.
Maybe that'll take some of the sweats away from Shoot House.
You can cope about that, for sure.
Thanks for tweeting, at least. Thanks for doing more than Infinity Ward has done. They just keep tweeting about the soccer bundles in the store.
Things that are bad. We've got a couple words. Why don't you kick it off, Tanner?
This is going to be a longer section than the first part you guys heard.
Change it, obviously, of course. We are live, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty Podcast, episode number 408. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today, I'm joined by Tanner, and we are going to be talking about Season 2 Reloaded.
Warzone,
mostly.
Warzone.
Yeah. First impressions. So, yeah. We do these all the time.
Perfect.
If you're new here, we're just going to kind of talk about our first impressions. Obviously, this will not encompass everything that changed with the patch. Rather, it will only be the things we've, experienced thus far. And it hasn't been long since, the patch was 2 days ago. Or 3, whatever. But still, we have a number of things to say and talk about. I will start by saying a couple of things. Number one, as always, first impressions are liable to change. So we might like something now that we will hate later, vice versa. And I'd also say, which is somewhat unique, wasn't surprised by much with this update. Pretty much every change that I expected to be good or bad was in fact good or bad, with I think one exception I can think of that we'll get into, but usually you'll see something on paper, some kind of change they make, and you're like, that doesn't sound great. And a lot of times it's very obvious what would be a good example? I don't know. I can't think of one, but a lot of times they'll say they're going to do something and we're like, oh, this is a terrible idea. They shouldn't do this. And then it is. But oftentimes as well, there will be things where we will read about it and think it's going to be good or think it's going to be bad, and then that's not the case.
Weapons case, great example of that. I think it would actually be good in pubs now after playing it in preview.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And we thought it was going to be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, true. That is a good example. So yeah, anyways, we do have a number of things to say, but before we get into it, on the topic of announcements, again, not really any thus far. We will have some bonus episodes coming out for our patrons, starting next week, probably. We wanted to wait, obviously, until the update. So we've got I'm sure we'll do a Warzone brainstorm, maybe a little Fortune's Keep brainstorm, some other things, but those will start rolling out next week. And then we still got to schedule our Damascus hangout for those of you who are Damascus patrons. And if you're not a Damascus patron, keep that in mind. Once a month, we all hang out together. Sometimes we do custom, sometimes we do other things, and it's a good time. But we haven't scheduled that for this month. And let's just dive in, I think. Here's the jingle. Bam.
Just diving in, huh?
Feet first. Whoa! We're both logged into the YouTube account, so we can both type in chat, but it's usually Tanner. All right. Today, Season 2 Reloaded first impressions. So, this was a patch. It was one of the patches of all time. And we got mainly a ton of quality of life changes. So, the degree to which we will have first impressions, or the things about which we are going to have first impressions, are not very monumental yet, because all of the new content that we got, besides like quality of life changes, for example, the new POI, the new kill streak, we have not actually interfaced with at all.
I have for 90 seconds or so.
Okay. So yeah, we'll start by saying what we've played to give you guys some background on what we're going to be talking about today. I have literally not played Fortune's Keep once since the update. So yeah, the new research vessel, the bunker buster, haven't experienced it at all, so I won't be talking about that. Tanner has played a little bit of Fortune's Keep. We've both played a little bit of multiplayer, including DOS House, the quote-unquote new map, and mostly lots of Urzikstan, lots of big map BR. In addition, we have used the new gun to varying degrees. I've unlocked it, haven't finished leveling it yet, but when I was playing yesterday, I had lag and cope drop me there, like fully leveled. What's the new gun called?
SOA Subverter.
Okay, yeah, the Subverter.
It's only 17 levels too, so it's easy to level up once you unlock it.
Yeah, so I'll have that soon, but I have used like a kitted one in Warzone, so we'll be able to talk about that, and Tanner has as well as some other guns also. So that's a little background on what we've played and where we're going to be talking about things. Now, this is old news, but I just want to quickly mention it. Recently-ish, we got aftermarket parts for the longbow and the haymaker. And the longbow aftermarket part is it gives you a different ammo type, I think, so that it does more damage and the fire rate is slightly lower. And I was doing weekly challenges to unlock the Subverter, and one of them was to, I think, use the longbow or something. I don't know what exactly it was, but I think it was to get quickscope kills with the longbow. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I was using it and I was like, oh, I'll try the new aftermarket part. I'm not kidding. I was playing on DOS House, to be fair, but still, I did not get a single hit marker. Every time I hit someone, they died in multiplayer. Literally every single time. Now, to be fair, I am on controller. So that might be the case without the aftermarket part if I'm using a longbow. But it was, I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. It was really fun and exciting, and the rate of fire being lower is not that bad at all. It still rechambers very quickly, and I see no reason to not use that ever. If you're playing multiplayer with a longbow, there's virtually no downside to using that aftermarket part. It just gives you a more generous one-shot kill area on enemies in multiplayer. And the fire rate, again, being lower is not substantially lower at all. Like, I barely noticed that it's slower. It still fires plenty fast. It was really, really fun. It was super fun. I was pretty mad when I finished the challenge, because then I had to go use something else. And then another relatively new-ish, but not Season 2 Reloaded new aftermarket part is the Haymaker one. I don't know if you guys have used it, but it is a drum mag and like trigger action combo attachment, which actually makes it quite good because you're basically getting 2 attachment slots for the price of 1. So for example, the Core 45 pistol aftermarket part is it makes it a dual action trigger. So when you press down, a bullet comes out, and then when you release the trigger, another bullet comes out. So if you like spam the trigger, it looks like and feels like it's full auto, but you have to be clicking a bunch. So the aftermarket part on the Haymaker does that, but also it gives you, I think, 70 rounds or something of shotgun ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So it fires
60.
Basically full auto, and it's a 2-in-1 attachment. And it's also, in multiplayer, likewise, really good. Unsurprisingly. You're firing as fast as that Core 45 aftermarket part, but you're using a shotgun with 60 rounds, so you won't have to reload. The match will be over before you do. Both really fun and exciting to use, and kind of goofy. In the case of the Haymaker. It's got awful
range, as you would expect. That's how they balance it. Like, you'll actually, if you're shooting at somebody like 10, 15 meters away, you'll actually get like 5 or 6 hit markers or something. But like within that 5 meters or so, it's really insane.
On DOS House specifically, it is really insane. Yeah, because there are a lot of LOS breaks on that map. On both side lanes, so you're always inside like your first or second damage range, and you have all the benefits. Yeah, it's really, really fun. So just thought I'd point that out, because when I was doing the weekly challenges, I was actually giggling in Discord using them. Like, they were so good and fun. Anyway. What have you played with this season?
Yeah, so since you're already talking about multiplayer, I'll just say the one thing. I've played DOS House, a few matches of it. It's DOS House. It's better than the Vanguard version, but it's not a good map, and it never was, so that's not really saying much, but it seems to play better than that. I don't know if it's because not everyone's using fire shotguns, or if it's because it's in the daytime, so it's a little bit brighter and just not quite as like ugly and depressing looking. I'm not really sure, but it feels like DOS House exactly like it was. It's just reskinned and plays a little bit better, in my opinion. So if you like DOS House and Vanguard, you'll probably still enjoy it here.
Yep.
But yeah, and then I did play a little bit of Fortune's Keep. Probably like 3 matches. Again, it's only in solos, and the thing is, like, if I'm playing a video game, I'm not playing it alone, right? Because that's boring. The point is to play with people and have fun. So it's not fun to play. So I played 3 matches of solos just to kind of try everything out. And the map does play better with that ship, because you can land and regain. Now, maybe it's just because it's solos, but probably like 5 people or so at least landed on the ship when I did. And I died because I couldn't find a gun. And when I landed back on the map, I landed at like the Coney Outpost POI. There wasn't a single person there. Whereas like before, I feel like if that ship wasn't there, there's no way there would not be at least 1 or more guys at that POI at all. And there was just nobody there, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think what we had said is probably true. It does make the map flow a little bit better now with that. But yeah, I didn't actually explore the ship too much, because I was dead within 90 seconds or so. But you know, it's a cute idea. You know what it's missing that we had talked about, that I had said? There should be a balloon on it. There really should be a balloon, and there's not. Which is really unfortunate. Little mobile balloon, that would have been nice. But yeah, other than that, I don't like Fortune's Keep. We've made that clear, so I didn't want to play much of it. But it does seem like that's kind of made it more possible to regain now, having that ship there. And the bunker buster kill streak is not an issue. Not overpowered, not broken so far from what I've seen. So that's my experience with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, I played a little bit of DOS House. Yeah, I agree with Tanner. It feels exactly like DOS House used to. And it does play better because this is a better game than Vanguard was. There isn't like fire everywhere all the time. So that helps for sure. But besides that, it feels actually identical in scale and layout, which is good. I actually liked DOS House. It was just, you know, the game and that map just did not mix well at all. But I always thought the map itself was pretty good. It's a very basic, small 3-lane map.
It's a good camo grinding map because you can go to the one lane that sees all the way down on the side, and you can go to the mid lane, and that is long enough to, I think, get long shots on every single gun. Except like maybe snipers or something like that, but like ARs, battle rifles, for sure SMGs, you can get long shots and do different things in those lanes. So it's always been a nice map for that, because that I think is one of the weekly challenges this week to unlock the new gun. One of the weekly challenges you can do. It's like get 20, I think, long shot kills with a recommended battle rifle, which is only the Sidewinder. But those lanes make it very easy, very quick to do.
I was so annoyed when it said a recommended. Another one was get hip fire kills with a recommended battle rifle.
How did you do it? Did you do all of them in multiplayer?
No, I did 2 in Warzone.
Okay, yeah,
I wasn't trying
I did 3
to,
in Warzone,
but
2 in multiplayer.
I did, yeah. One of the multiplayer ones I did do, though, was 20 hip fire kills, the recommended battle rifle. I was like, oh, okay, that'll be easy. And then I was so mad. I opened the battle rifles and literally one is recommended, and it's the freaking Sidewinder. I was like, God damn it.
I was like, oh, this will be easy. And I set up a Bass B to do like 2 or 3 of the challenges at once. And then because they added the ability to track them in game now, I was tracking them and got a few kills. Then I checked to see what I was at. And I was like, 0. I'm like, cool, this gun must not be recommended. I didn't even think about it. Because when the game launched, every single gun in the game was recommended, except for like the Bruin or something.
Right.
So,
yeah,
so you had to use a Sidewinder. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing any of those then, but.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, it's not a great gun to hip fire with or do anything with other than not use. So, anyway, yeah, DOS House is fun. Not much to say on that. So, now we're going to move on to Warzone. This is pretty much everything we're going to talk. This is everything we're going to talk about is Warzone.
Warzone.
And the new gun with respect to Warzone. So speaking of which, yeah, as I said, I have used the new gun in Warzone. And I was using fully kitted ones when I used them. Cope and Lag dropped them for me. I tried both an iron sight build and an Eagle's Eye build. And I don't know why exactly, and I'd have to use them more, and I will, so we'll talk about it more later in the future. But the iron sight build, I was absolutely doing better with at long range. I'm not sure why that is, because with the Eagle Eye, didn't really feel like it had that much recoil, but I also just felt like I was missing more shots. So, could be a skill issue. I am on controller and I'm still getting used to that, because you actually have to do something at long range, unlike up close where it does it for you. But I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. And when I was using it with the iron sights long range, yeah, pretty easy to hit shots. Time to kill felt fine. It didn't feel super amazing. But again, I have not used it that much, so I wouldn't put a ton of stock into this assessment. I need to use it a lot more to have a more firm opinion on it. But yeah, I used it for like 3 or 4 games and I was like, I'm just going to use another gun instead. I think I was doing better with that, which I was. And we will get into that. But what was your experience with the Subverter?
Yeah, it's definitely like meta, absolute meta. It is a really good gun. The thing for me is it has too much horizontal recoil to, I think, ever be the long range gun on Urzikstan. But like, you know, it excels at close to medium range. Like, it is built for that. It's easy enough to hit the shots. Like, if I were to pick a gun for, say, like medium range, like 30 to 45 meters, I would pick that gun like pretty much every single time. But the issue you start running into is in long range gunfights, 100 meters or so. I've been used to using the MTZ 762 for the last, 2-3 weeks. That gun with iron sights at 100 meters I can hit every single bullet on some guy, let's say, standing on a roof. I can hit every single bullet on that guy. With the Subverter, even mounted up at 100 meters, you are absolutely missing shots on a target that's not even moving. Because by maybe like, I don't know, the 6th, 8th bullet or something, it really starts to go horizontal and it becomes very difficult to control. So, you know, I think they've balanced it well because of this. It's good up close. It's good at medium range. It's just not the best option for long range, and I wouldn't recommend it to most people because it's a lot harder to use for sure. The build I was using actually, yeah. So Cope using an Eagle Eye. I don't know. I talked about the Eagle Eye on Thursday. I don't really understand it. The more I've looked at it, doesn't zoom that much. Adds a ton of visual bounce. Not really sure why so many people run it on guns, especially that gun. I would absolutely not run an Eagle Eye on that thing for sure, but whatever. But yeah, like, so Lag was using the Iron Sight build, and what I found is the gun actually felt better with the Jack glassless optic rather than a stock or a rear grip for recoil control. Which is weird because it shouldn't be that case. This is why I've been saying for a long time too, like, the detailed stats are, I don't know, technically accurate, but that does not always actually change how the gun feels. Because to me, putting that Jack glassless optic on there makes the gun more controllable. Even though it technically doesn't add recoil control, it adds firing aim stability. It makes the gun easier to control, I think, than a stock or a rear grip that were helping with recoil control like 7 to 15% across the board.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with the gun, I would recommend using that instead. Because I figured I would like it with the with Iron Sights better, like the MTZ. I prefer the Iron Sight build on that. Not the case on this gun though, I don't think.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Bounces around a lot, and the irons aren't quite as clean as the MTZ 7.62 in my opinion. I think the MTZ is a little bit easier to hit shots at those longer ranges, but yeah, the gun's definitely very good. Like if you're playing Resurgence, for example, a long range gun on Resurgence is a lot different than a long range gun on Urzikstan. Like when I say long range, I'm thinking big map and I'm thinking like 80 to 100 meters. A long range gun on Resurgence is like 50 to 60 meters. So it's kind of different there. So like the new gun and the Ram 7 probably still the best long range options on Resurgence right now. Those are the two I would use, you know, because they're fast enough. They do a lot of damage. They're easy enough to control at those longer ranges. But you know, anything past that, I think the SOA is just, it's way too bouncy. Way too bouncy.
Yeah.
If you're super, super aggressive on big map and you land on everybody, then it's good. But like the minute you have to rotate into zone and you're being held by a guy who's mounted on a rooftop with a head glitch, you are not ever winning that gunfight with the SOA. You're just not. You're just dying like 10 out of 10 times in that situation. You just can't hit people off those headies like you can with other guns, I think.
Yeah. And something to keep in mind too, though, is the reason the RAM, like we talk about the RAM being super easy to control, is because of the build. It's a loud build. So like we're comparing a loud RAM to a silenced subverter. So
I'm not. My subverter's loud. All the builds I've tried are all loud.
Oh, then never mind.
Yeah, I don't use suppressors on any of the guns anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, one thing I did not try is the glassless optic on the subverter.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, on Thursday, we will be our next episode, we will be covering an exclusive Ace video he did on the glassless optic and how much that firing aim stability that it says it gives helps with recoil. He tested it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I didn't watch the video yet, but I already put it in our notes for our next episode, so we will be covering that. And I shout out to Jitsi in Discord for shouting that out, by the way. Thanks, King. Yeah, we'll be covering that and seeing, you know, what's going on there. But That again, I think it's a keyboard and mouse thing. Like firing aim stability is going to be a lot more important, almost certainly, on KBAM than on controller, because likely what it's doing is giving you some recoil control for sure, which is good. But even if it doesn't give as much as a stock or a rear grip, which is what you swapped out for the optic, it makes it bounce less so you can see easier, so you can land more shots, even if it technically has a little more recoil, because it's actual recoil versus visual recoil, where you're not sure if you're hitting the shot because your gun is getting cattywampus. That's something important to keep in mind, and we'll go into more detail on that on Thursday. But all of that is to say, yeah, the subverter is in the meta. And on the topic of that, by the way, one thing we speculated, which we were absolutely correct about, is that the Ram 7 nerf was not enough. That gun is still, well, it might have been enough insofar as the gun isn't overpowered or anything. I think maybe that's actually true, but was it enough to make it not the best gun in Warzone? Doesn't look that way, honestly. It's still overall probably the best gun to use long range, generally speaking. And I would say the only caveat is if you would rather be silenced. Now, maybe you wouldn't want to use a silencer on a subverter, but there are other guns now that are in the meta that have little enough recoil such that you can afford to use a silencer instead of a muzzle brake. And that might make it more attractive to you than the Ram. And I think there is one such gun so far that is indisputably good with a silencer. And that is the Bruin, which again, not terribly surprising. When we were looking at the patch notes, the Bruin got a lot of nice buffs. It's certainly not overpowered. It didn't look like it was going to be overpowered, but it did look like it was going to be better. And basically what they did to it was reduced its base recoil, increased its base movement speed and ADS speed, and increased its stomach multiplier by 5%. And all of those things combined, in my opinion, made this gun very attractive. And very good. So I had used yesterday, I played for quite a while, the subverter builds I was talking about, and the Bruin. And I had used the Bruin prior to this patch and after this patch, and it feels way different than it used to. I used the exact same build too. Literally, I already had one built, so it had, you know, Bruin heavy, whatever, silencer, optic, 60 round mag, and I think it was the recoil stock. I'm not sure what my fifth attachment is, but I would guess it's that. It might not have one. Maybe it's a rear grip. I don't know, but either way, whatever. It was the exact same gun, and I've used that build before and after the patch, and it feels, again, very, very different. Way less bouncy than it used to be, and therefore way easier to control and hit shots with. And it also felt like it was killing at a good time. It didn't feel like I was zapping people, but it felt like I was getting kills consistently and reliably at long range in a solid time. Like a solid time to kill, easy to hit the shots. Also, not bouncy and annoying at all like it used to be. It used to be extremely bouncy. It was the only reason I didn't use it before, in fact, is it was so bouncy. I just couldn't. I refused. So now it's way less bouncy. It ADS is faster. You move faster with it. And it does more damage. 5% more to the stomach, which you're going to be hitting a lot, by the way, in Warzone, especially at long range. So I think right now, in terms of like meta Urzikstan long range options, for me anyway, I need to use the subverter more, and I will, because maybe that'll enter the fold. But setting that aside, it's either just an iron sight ram with a muzzle brake, so I'm going loud, or if I'd rather be off minimap, it's absolutely a Bruin, and I'm not going to be killing as quickly as the ram. Depending on the damage range, I guess, I would be curious to look into that. But I'll be
damage
off
range
minimap.
For what?
The Bruin.
Like the Bruin
what kills
versus the Ram?
faster at like 50 meters? The Bruin or the Ram?
Like 53 meters. Let's say you're just looking at chest on TGD. Ram's 1100, the Bruin's 900.
Yeah. Okay. So that is that's a big difference. And it's also going to be, well, it's going to be pretty easy to hit those shots with both guns, actually. But still, that's 200 milliseconds is a big deal in time to kill. So on Urzikstan, you might like that. And in addition, you're also silenced and getting a 200 millisecond faster TTK with the Bruin versus the Ram. So that's actually a lot of advantages. What that doesn't account for is the Ram's headshot multiplier is almost certainly better than the Bruin. So if you're sprinkling in headshots at those 50 meters, well, now the time to kill is a lot closer. But still, you're off minimap with the Bruin. So for me, that's like my best long range option right now, but I need to try the Subverter more. But they're both definitely still viable. And I hope the Ram gets nerfed more, not because it's overpowered, but because I'm bored of it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, the Rams, people are going to continue to run the Ram until they nerf the head and neck multiplier, which they just do not do at all. So like, let's say you're just looking at headshots, like Ram at 1 meter is killing at 480 milliseconds. The next closest gun is the Subverter at 602. So it's like
that's a big deal.
The head and neck multiplier are just so good that even at long range, it has a really slow time to kill. The Ram, out of all the long range options, chest shots only, has like by far the slowest time to kill on paper at 68, 70 meters, something like that. But when you're hitting headshots with it, it basically goes from being the worst to one of the best pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Especially with like neck shots.
Yeah.
And that neck hitbox is good, as we've talked about. Or it's large, I mean.
Yeah, combining neck and head hitboxes, you have a very generous headshot, basically multi-zone. That is worth pointing out. Yeah.
Also, there are some things I've been seeing with the Ram now too, where people have been dropping an attachment to run high grain ammo to add that damage range back. I think people drop like the stock or something to swap to that ammo type. And
interesting.
Try that,
that's a good idea.
Just to be clear, because like Raz keeps talking about like running suppressors versus being loud on the Ram. I don't run suppressors on like literally any gun at all anymore because the costless break is so good, especially for K-BAM players, that it is like by far the best attachment you can put on your gun because it just removes all of that visual recoil. So I use all my gun louds. Also, like the way we play, there's no reason to run a suppressor anyways, like ever. So that's kind of why I don't do it either. I don't want like the mobility penalty. Well, I guess you don't get too many penalties anymore with them. But yeah,
you get damage range and velocity too.
Yeah, it just basically comes down to it makes iron sight guns and even guns with optics way more usable when I run the costless break. That or the Zem compensator on certain guns feels a little bit better. But usually it's at that.
Can you run that on an AR, by the way, or is that a sub only compensator?
Which one? The Zem?
Yeah.
The Zem you can, yeah. So yeah, certain guns for like Ram, for example, feels a lot better with a costless break. But like the Bruin, for example, actually I do run the Zem on because that one does feel
that's a cute idea.
A lot better on my gun. So again, go in the firing range and try all these. I've seen some atrocious recommended builds from like Warzone Stats GG or whatever they're called now on Twitter for some gun builds. Really, really terrible gun builds. So always make sure to go in the firing range and try these yourself, because what you think feels good could be entirely different from what the next person thinks feels good. So just use different attachments that you see in the meta. Throw on a Spirit Fire suppressor, try that. Throw on the Casa's Break, try that. Throw on the Zem compensator, try that. See which one feels better. Like I even tried the TYLR8, whatever that thing's called.
Oh,
for the SOA
68 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because that one helps a ton with horizontal recoil. I tried that on the Subverter, did not help. It's just you get a big penalty to ADS time because it's an MW2 muzzle brake, and it did not feel like it helped with horizontal recoil anymore, and it doesn't help with overall like gun kick. So it is strictly worse. And I saw like Warzone stats saying to run that one on the Subverter. It's not good, but if you really feel like it's better, run it, go in the firing range and try all these. But yeah, I don't really run suppressors on any guns at all. So yeah, so like I think the Bruin for pretty much every single person is going to be the best long range option on Urzikstan. Again, on Resurgence, I wouldn't recommend it because it's an LMG, so it's a little bit slower. But on big map, it's fast enough that it doesn't feel like an SMG or like an LMG so much, and it beams at range. But you know, just slightly too slow for Resurgence, I would say. I wouldn't want to get caught trying to ADS with that thing in a gunfight. But yeah, so like again, if you guys want any of our builds, go to our join our Discord, the Warzone channel there, or Warzone section. There is a gun builds channel, and usually I will pin different builds in there. So like you can see my Bruin build in there, but I run the Zen compensator, the Bruin heavy underbarrel, the 60 round mag, stippled rear grip, and the Jack glassless optic. And I think I got that from Metaphor, or maybe I changed one attachment that felt better to me from Metaphor's build, but that is like no visual recoil. When you mount up and shoot that thing, it feels like what I talked about with the MTZ 762, where the gun does not go up at all. It's really, really, really good when mounted, but even when not mounted, it feels good. And the gun in general now, like that ADS movement is so much better now. It's like you can be in the open, ADS at some guy, shooting full auto, well strafing, and it doesn't feel like an LMG anymore because of these buffs we got in Season 2 Reloaded. The game, the gun just feels so much better now.
It really feels like
movement,
the OG
that Jack
Bruin.
glassless optic. That's what a lot of people have been saying, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a little slower than an AR, but not so much so that it's like an impediment, you know? Yeah. And it beams for sure. Yeah. So I'm really liking the Bruin right now. And you guys should definitely give it another try if you didn't like it before this patch, because it was a very, very large buff in aggregate to it for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, but
yeah.
My big thing again is that I just need to finish leveling my Subverter and try it more and use my own builds, because like Tanner said, this is not 2020 anymore, and you can't just build every gun the same way and expect to do well, and especially because there are literally new stats that didn't used to exist before. There's aim, idle, sway, there's aiming stability, there's firing aiming stability. None of these are accounted for numerically in the detailed stats at all, so you will have no idea how much that firing aim stability helps unless you try it. You just have to try it, and it's going to help more or less for different guns. It's going to help more or less for different attachments. So for example, a firing aim stability underbarrel might give you way more recoil control benefit than a firing aim stability rear grip or stock or optic. You just kind of have to test it, which is good and bad. But again, we've said this recently, there are not cookie cutter builds anymore in this game. It just doesn't exist. So yeah, give these things a try. But we'll talk more about the Subverter probably next week. I'll probably have it dialed in by then. So Yeah. What do we got next?
Next thing here. So the MTZ 762 got nerfed quite a bit on paper. Supposedly though, it is still good despite those nerfs. I have not tried, or I tried it one game when I played Fortune's Keep solos. Like the first game on after the update. It felt pretty much the same in that one game, but like what JGod was saying was, I guess instead of having that broken time to kill when mixing in one headshot, it doesn't do that anymore. So it's like now I think you need to hit 2 headshots for it to become a lot better than just like basic chest shots. And so now the time to kill is more in line with other guns. But I think I do want to try it again because even with a 30-round mag and iron sights at long range, that has been my most accurate gun in Warzone this year. So it's like even the Bruin, because you naturally think 30 rounds isn't very much, but it's not a fast fire rate. The Bruin with 60 rounds, for some reason, you just blow through ammo. It feels like you really just blow through that ammo, and it doesn't really matter too much because the reload is quick, but it matters more because for like the first time in this game so far this year, I feel like I'm always running out of ammo, and I've started carrying an extra stack of AR ammo when I run the Bruin because it just seems like you blast through it for some reason. Because of that fire rate, 60 round mag. It's not like a broken time to kill, so it is taking a good amount of shots to actually kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to try the MTZ 762 again, and on paper the time to kill is still good. I mean, up to like 20 meters, it's only slower than the RAM and the new gun, and it's only slower by a tiny bit. And then at range, it's still one of the best guns at long range as well for the time to kill. And again, it's, I think, very, very easy to hit your shots with. So it looks like it was gutted. It looks like it was gutted on paper, but it doesn't seem like it is. Neck multiplier, not very good.
Okay. Because that's another benefit of the RAM is that the neck multi is also very high. So you basically get headshots twice as often because people's heads are basically twice as big if you're using a RAM because you'll get headshot damage at head or neck. So it's going to basically mean you're getting a lot more headshots than virtually every other gun. So
yeah, and then if you're looking at headshots only too for long range guns, the Bruin becomes the fastest time to kill at long range.
Interesting.
Quite a bit. It goes like Bruin, Holger 5.56, then the Holger 26, then the new gun. So like 70 meters, the Bruin, this is hitting all headshots, which you're not doing anyways, but it's for the sake of talking about. The Bruin is killing in 760 milliseconds. The new gun, way more difficult to hit your shots with at that range, is killing at 858 with all headshots. So it's kind of a no-brainer to me that you would use the gun that's a lot easier to control and also is going to have a better headshot multiplier at range. But again, the SOA is very good up close, a lot better than the Bruin. But a lot of those gunfights, like up close to, you're going to be using an SMG. Like even out to 15, 20 meters, a lot of times you're going to be using your SMG. So it's balanced very well, but I don't think it's the best gun for Urzikstan. Yeah. And then for what it's worth, JGod posted what he thinks are the top long range weapons right now. He still thinks the RAM is number 1, even though it's not good on paper. Easy to use, people are comfortable with it. Insane headshot multiplier, insane neck shot multiplier. So he says RAM, Bruin, Holger 5.56, then the new SOA Subverter, then the SVA 5.56. He says those are probably the top 5 long range weapons to be using right now in Warzone.
Did the Holger 5.56 change at all?
Yeah, it got buffed. Remember, because we talked about it, because we were like, well, why would you even run the AR when like, the LMG
it got the added
so similar?
Second damage range, right?
So max damage, well, it got more than that. It has its max damage in general was increased to 35 to 38, and then max damage range increased a few meters.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to try that. I forgot about that. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that one. I
really want to try that, actually.
It looks pretty good, yeah.
Did any of the boys try it? In the fire group chat? So. Stay mad?
No.
It's
pretty in line where it doesn't have it has a terrible neck multiplier. In fact, it's like worse than every other gun. So that's one thing. It's definitely good and easy to use. I would say. There are a few guns I would for sure use over it, but I don't think it's a bad gun.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like a resurgence gun though, because it doesn't kill super fast up close.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's another gun you might want to use. We haven't used it, so take this with a grain of salt, but that might be another gun you want to use if you want a fast handling, kind of easy to use gun that kills reliably, relatively quickly, and you want a silencer. I think that's like another good option. If you find like maybe the Bruin is a little slow for you, but you really want the silencer, try the Holger instead. It'll be faster handling, almost certainly. And adding a second damage range is like a big deal in addition to all those other buffs too. Because now you're like competing with a lot of meta guns up to the limit of its second damage range with attachments, which is probably going to be like, you know, almost 50 meters, I would imagine, without looking at the numbers. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. I will be trying that and the Subverter more. Those are the two things I'm really thinking about.
Yeah.
On the topic of guns quickly, by the way, the Ram 9 got a buff as well to 3 of its barrels. They got increased velocity, damage range, and I think like the ADS penalty was lessened as well. So one of those barrels is the I would say most popular one, the long barrel that gives you bullet velocity and damage range. It gives you like 20% more than it used to now. Yeah, that gun feels really, really good on Urzikstan specifically. I don't think I would ever use it on Fortune's Keep because of its sprint to fire time, which did not change at all with this patch. Still slow sprint to fire. And on Fortune's Keep, Resurgence, if I'm using an SMG, I am like cutting lines of sight every 3 meters. You have to have good sprint to fire, I think, when you're using an SMG. Because on that map, your long range gunfights are 40 meters. So like I'm going to have my AR out anyway. But on Urzikstan, that's not really true for a lot of areas of the map. There are times where you're going to be sprinting like right into someone and you will have to put up with a bad sprint to fire. But a lot of the time I'm using an SMG on Urzikstan, I have ample kind of time to prepare so I can kind of circumvent that sprint to fire penalty. And also the damage range becomes way more important because you're in a building, for example, but it's not like a Fortune's Keep building. It's an Urzikstan building where having a long first damage range on your sub is a really big deal. And now that damage range is even longer. It just zaps people. So yeah, it's not like dramatically changed or buffed, but a lot of people have been using it. I think it's a very good option on Urzikstan for a sub.
Yeah. Other than that, it didn't really change. It's still HRM, AMR 9, RAM 9, and WSP 9 if you want to get a little crazy. That's
you want to get froggy, yeah.
I'm still using the HRM. I tried like 3 different meta RAM 9 builds in the firing range. I'm like, nope, these are absolutely not for me. A lot of bounce. Pretty uncontrollable on KBAM.
It's actually a controller gun. I'm not kidding.
It's a terrible gun on KBAM. Yeah. There's not a build I could find that even felt decent on KBAM.
I agree. Yeah. It's super, super, super bouncy.
Yeah, it's very distracting. You definitely need that sticky, icky aim assist. So.
Yeah, and if you want to build it to not be super bouncy, then it's barely an SMG at that point.
It's slow as hell. Yeah, yes,
it's going to be so slow.
That's what I did. I found one that like was kind of usable, even then way less usable than the HRM in my opinion, and it was slow as hell, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Every time they do a weapon balancing update and they don't nerf the HRM, I'm always very surprised, but I'm also very happy. I could use the HRM the rest of this year and have no issue. I love that gun. I will be sad when they nerf it, but I keep expecting a nerf and it never comes, thankfully. So But that's it for the gun balance. Yeah, we'll probably talk more about that later in the month in like a brainstorm or something like that. But
Patreon.com/Dropshot.
Next up here, we one of the new items, the portable decontamination station is back from Caldera. Yeah, so this is the thing where you can throw. It's a little, as they say, it's a portable decontamination station. So if you're in gas, throw it on the ground. It shows a little circle for everyone on the mini map. It lasts for between like 7 to 15 seconds, depending on what zone it is. In the final 2 zones, it drops to 7 seconds. But otherwise, it lasts 15 seconds in a small circle where you can sit in the gas and not take any damage without a gas mask. So on Thursday, I was like, I haven't found any really. So what was happening is I was mistaking them for trophy systems, because when you're quickly running around looting in a gunfight, they look almost the same on the ground. They need to make it more obvious, in my opinion. But I was realizing, oh, these are PDSs. I thought these were trophy systems the whole time, so I just naturally run by them.
Right.
They're not. They're actually very common. I was finding a ton of them. Usually I just left them, but ended up, I would take them at some time or in some situations. So at one point, I actually did find one, and I kept it for some reason. I don't know why I had it. I don't remember how long I had it for, but I had it, and it was equipped.
It could have auto-equipped, which
it wasn't in my backpack. It was in my thing. So my teammates were all dead. None of them were good. It was Coplag and Raz. Not a single one of them was even decent at the game. Not even a viable teammate, really. So they were all dead, of course. I was fighting. They got wiped to some awful team, like a 2KD team at most, combined in quads. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do, because I can't move down the hill. I'm getting held. If I move up the hill, gas is coming in, and these guys are also there, so they're going to kill me. Cope was like, they're not good. There are just 4 of them. They're on top of each other. So I'm like, all right. Well, I don't know. I'm going to try to just stay alive, I guess. So I like mantle up all the rocks, go up the hill. There is a wooden cart there. It's in between cargo and seaport. On that hill there where there's that house, there is that radio antenna right there at that house. So I go up. They see me. They're on VoIP. That's how you know they're bad. They're talking to each other in prox chat.
Running cold-blooded.
So uh-oh. Oh, was that the cold-blooded team? I didn't know that was them.
Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
The cold-blooded incident, yeah.
It's the only reason.
So I'm hanging out. I'm like, oh, man, I don't know what to do. I had a durable. They're throwing Semtexes at me. Gas is about to start hitting me. But I'm like, well, I have a durable. I'll just sit here. So I keep hanging out. They're throwing Semtexes. I'm cracked. I'm like, well, they're all going to push me because they just threw 5 Semtexes at me. So I'm dead,
one guy,
right?
And they're all on top of each other.
They were even saying, like, nice nade, as they were throwing Semtexes at me.
It's so funny this happened.
So I'm getting sucked by the gas, right? The gas is just sucking on me. So my durables, it's getting cracked, it's getting low, it breaks. And I'm like, what the hell? I think I have a PDS on me. So I throw it down. They all run down the hill. They, I guess, naturally think just one of them killed me some way. I don't even know. Because they threw a million Semtex at me. So I'm sitting there. I throw down the PDS. They're all fighting a different team at the house 20 meters away below me that I was just at. I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I'm just screwed. So I'm just sitting there hanging out in the PDS. Like, I wasn't sure how long it was going to last at that point. I think it was, yeah, because you can plate up, which is great.
Yeah.
I think at that point, it was not technically the final 2 circles, so I think it lasted 15 seconds. So I'm hanging out there for 15 seconds, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was close to the gas, so I jumped off the mountain, and I land on the roof. There are 2 teams fighting there, the guys that just left me thinking I was dead, and another team. They're all fighting in the buildings. They're not paying attention to me, so I land on the roof. As I'm floating in, all 3 of my teammates are like, there are flares there. There are flares on the ground. So I have to go through 150 pieces of loose loot on the ground because there was a massacre. There was an absolute massacre there, right? So everyone's fighting. I'm running around trying to stay alive, and I'm able to flare 3 teammates back, who then land way deeper into zone.
The house, dude.
There were 3 flares. All my teammates landed in better positioning. I kept fighting these guys. I killed, I think, 2 at that house. Then I moved down. My teammates all have ground loot. Like, there's a guy there in the smoke, so I'm coming from behind everyone, kill the last guy in smoke, and we win the game. Literally none of that happens had I not had that PDS on me. So all that to say is they can be used in certain situations. They're, for most of the game, they're actually almost useless. But if you're getting to like 3rd circle or so, even if you find one, I would probably hold on to it. It's probably
Do a
worth
stow.
holding on to it. Yeah, do a little stow.
Mhm.
If you usually get to late game, if you win a lot of games, it will come in handy. And it won us that game because it existed. Because I just sat there for 15 seconds in the gas. They forgot I was there. They were busy fighting somebody else. And then because Warzone is full of flares, I got the whole team back and won because I'm the best.
Well,
Of course.
we literally won that game because of that singular item. Like, it's actually that simple. Because if he didn't have it, he would have been behind those boxes. His durable would have run out. I don't think the team that was semtexing him had jumped yet.
No,
so he would have just been swallowing gas and dying. So he would have either had to jump with those guys and they would have all killed him, or he would have just had to like try and wait for them to jump, and then he just would have died to gas damage. Like, it was literally only because of that we were able to win that game. We also got really lucky with the 3 flares, obviously. We also got lucky that he managed to shoot a flare thrice, and no one bothered to like take a look at what was going on.
Not a single one of them ran around the backside. They were all just inside fighting still. Then I think eventually there were just 2 left, and they still never peeked me. I finally like peeked a window, cracked one, ran around the building, grabbed like the last flare, popped it. They let me pop all 3 flares.
I
literally feet from them. From them. Yes.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. It was so funny. They were not
They
good.
were terrible. They were indeed not good players.
But yeah, that was so anyway, that I get the point there, that it was a funny situation. The point is it can be useful. And now that you can auto equip field upgrades, it's definitely worth doing a stow. Because I'm like lazy a lot in Warzone. I'm sure, especially unranked. I'm sure many of you are as well. And it's like, do I want to stow like 2 extra field upgrades? Because then I'm going to have to like open my backpack late game, throw a muni, equip it, and then, or whatever, and then open the backpack, and then equip my armor box, and then throw that, and then open my backpack and equip the portable, the PDS. Am I going to be doing all that? Probably not. I'm over it. But now that it auto equips, it's kind of nice. What I suspect happened was Tanner stowed his PDS way early on in the game, and he had like a muni equipped, for example. And then he like threw the muni, we all hit it, and he didn't even think about it. But his PDS auto equipped from his backpack. And then all of a sudden he's in the situation. And he's like, oh, I'll throw this down. I think Cope was like, oh, throw down your PDS. And then it worked. So now that like auto equipping is a thing, I think this becomes more relevant, because if I'm correct, it was entirely possible he wouldn't have even known he had a PDS in his backpack if it wasn't for auto equip. If that was the series of events. I don't know if it was for sure, obviously. But the auto equipping, I was going to mention this later, but I'll just say it now. Very good quality of life change for like field upgrades and lethals and tacticals as well. Big fan of that. And it's well, not too surprisingly, but it is in fact working as intended. So everything they said in the patch notes that they changed with the auto equip from backpack thing, it works exactly as described. If you have like smokes and stims in your backpack and you throw your last smoke, you'll auto equip the smokes. If you run out of smokes, then it'll auto equip the stims. Like, it works exactly as intended in my experience, which is really, really nice quality of life change for sure. So yeah. What do we got next here?
I pretty much already mentioned this early on, but yeah, the bunker buster kill streak is indeed not overpowered, thankfully. I think they can probably bring it to Urzikstan. I don't know if that's their plan, but this would be a great item to add into the preview mode when they bring that back. It's not currently in the game. But yeah, like adding bunker buster to preview mode. I'm trying to think what else I would like added to preview mode. Can't think of anything right now, any like recent items they've added that I would like to see.
Something experimental, yeah. That's like I see what you're saying.
That would be a great little item to test out to see how broken it feels, if it's overpowered at all, if they need to change the price at all. But that'd be good to see, and then possibly, just add it to Urzikstan. But thankfully, doesn't seem to be an issue at all. And I think it's a balanced enough kill streak.
Yeah. I literally haven't even seen it yet, but I believe it.
Yeah, and then next thing here, they nerfed frags noticeably worse now. Yeah, I find myself getting mostly cracks at this point, actually, the more I use them. Whereas before, like so often, I would just get an immediate down with it. They're a lot worse, but I really don't know what else I would run. It's nice to be able to cook them still and have it explode on somebody who's on a roof, where you can basically, if I'm below a guy, he's on the roof, and I throw a Semtex, I'm never doing damage to him, ever. If I throw a frag, I can cook it long enough, do a little countdown in my little head, hopefully land it close to him, at least do 100, 150 damage to him, something like that. And then he's cracked. I can throw another one quickly. That's often what I do. Usually when I throw one frag at a roof, by the time I throw that first one, even if it hasn't hit the guy yet, I'm already getting that second one ready to go. I'm already cooking it to throw. So if you do that twice, you get them out of your hands quickly. You can still get downs that way, but the one-shot frag downs are mostly gone, yeah. But I just don't think there's anything better to swap to, really. I think frags still have the most utility for Battle Royale, at least.
For Urzik, yeah. Yeah, this was another thing that didn't surprise me at all. I postulated, looking at the patch notes, that frags would still be really good, but no longer overpowered. And I continued to run them all day yesterday, and that is exactly how it feels. Yeah, they're still very good. You can bank them, you can cook them, and if you do nestle it into someone's little butt, you're still doing the same amount of damage, 275.
Yeah.
So they're still insane if you can really place them well. But they're no longer, you're no longer getting downs even though you threw it 10 meters from them, which is a good thing. So I think frags are perfectly balanced now. Absolutely still viable. Absolutely still very good, but no longer overpowered. That's what you want every single thing in the game to be. Viable, but not overpowered. And that's where frags are now, I think.
Yeah, they were too good.
They were just too good, yeah. And now they're solid, which is, again, what you would want. Pro tip on frags, by the way. When you are cooking them, you can, if you use frags long enough, you'll just get it down regardless. But if you're new to them or whatever, there is a way to time them very precisely, because when you start cooking it, your hip fire reticle will breathe every second. So it'll expand a bunch and then come back in after a second. And it'll expand a bunch, come back in after 2 seconds. And then the frag grenade will always explode on breath 4, I think. So you can time it with Swiss accuracy.
I didn't know it did that.
If you want. Yeah. So you can hold it, look at your hip fire reticle, wait until it breathes twice, and then throw it, and then it will explode exactly 2 seconds after that. Or wait 3 breaths and then throw it, and it'll explode really quickly. So that's how you can put it on roofs or whatever, like Tanner's doing. Again, like I said, you don't have to do that. If you run them long enough, you will get used to how long it takes, because the cook time is always the fuse timer is always exactly the same. But while you're learning, or if you just want a lot of precision, you can literally just look at your hip fire reticle and cook it exactly as long as you want. Don't quote me on the 4 breaths. I don't know exactly how many it is. I think it's 3 to 5, and then it explodes. But you can time it that way. Your crosshair will count for you. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. There were also some other quality of life changes that I'd like to talk about. One of which was audio changes. So ascenders can now be heard 16 feet farther away. I played for hours yesterday, didn't notice this. The reason I didn't notice this is very likely twofold. Number one, the hearing volume and radius was sufficient before this change. So now it's even more sufficient. So I have not yet heard a sender that I wouldn't have heard prior to the expanded hearing radius, number one. Number two, I don't sit on rooftops all game. So I just don't hear ascenders very often. Yeah. So I don't really have very much to say on that. But again, I would like to plant a flag. It is possible that the radius is too far now, and you will be unable to ascend onto someone's rooftop, even though you're ascending on the opposite side of a big building's roof. That would be bad. I don't know if that is in fact the case or not. Oh, you know what? There was one time where I was hearing crazy ascenders, and I don't think I would have heard them before. It was when we were going for the nuke on, we were like the southeast corner of downtown, that interior ascender everyone kept taking. We were on the roof, not like vertically directly above it either. And we were constantly hearing people zip up that. So I'm not sure actually in the room that I was in, if we would have heard those prior to this change. Is that good or bad if true? I think it's neutral. Well, I don't know if it's neutral. I don't have an opinion on it yet. But we were pretty far away and we heard them zipping up the interior zip.
Yeah.
Might have been a little too far, actually.
I feel like those ones didn't change. I feel like you could already hear those easily. Because even like when you're inside of buildings, like on one side of like an apartment building, basically, you can hear somebody on the other side of the building outside climbing the ladder. So I think those ascenders you could already hear. I'd be more interested. I would love to go to Trump Tower in downtown and see how far away you can get from those interior or some of the exterior ones to see how loud it is. Or even people going up the cranes on the outside. If you could be like in the middle of Trump Tower and hear any of the cranes.
That would be too far at that point.
I agree. I think that would be a little too far, which is crazy. Which is crazy that we're saying that there may be too much audio. But yeah, I would still rather in almost every situation have more audio in Warzone than not enough like we've had for the last 3 years. So
yeah,
I mean, it actually it literally just keeps getting better. The audio, this update just made things better so far.
Yeah.
God, it's so nice.
Yeah.
That's why I don't care to run silencers on guns either. Cause now you hear people pushing you. So I don't have an issue running loud guns because I'll be firing my loud gun and still hear somebody sprinting up to my building. It's very nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's worth pointing out. But anyways, what I had written down, what I have more experience with is the parachute audio. So you can hear parachutes from 100 feet farther away than you used to be able to. I don't know what the radius was for parachute audio before, but now it's that X plus 100 extra feet, which is like 30 more meters.
Yeah.
That is extremely noticeable. All of us were hearing parachutes we would not have heard before. But interestingly, every time I heard a parachute and the guy was parachuting far away, it wasn't that they were like far above me, but they were usually at about my elevation. I'm like on a rooftop and they're parachuting around the rooftop elevation, but they're like 3 buildings over. And I wouldn't have heard that before. That has been really super noticeable. And again, I would say this is probably good. You should hear parachutes quite far away. It is way farther away feeling now, though. I feel like, well, not way farther away, but I'm hearing way more parachutes than I used to because of this change. And I think overall that's probably a good thing. But it's not it hasn't helped me hear someone like landing on me sooner than I used to, but it is helping me hear people who are trying to like run away from us by jumping off of a building 3 buildings down and parachuting off of it. I'm hearing those a lot more often now, which I think overall, again, is a good thing. But it was very noticeable. Not like super impactful yet, in my experience. I'll say that. It isn't super game breaking in a good or bad way. It's just very noticeable. I would be very interested to play Fortune's Keep with this new parachute radius, because you parachute a lot on that map and a lot of people do it, and it's resurgence, so people are also parachuting back in. That might be a little, that
may almost be too much
insane.
Audio clutter.
Yeah, exactly, because there's already a lot of audio clutter on Fortune's Keep.
God,
you'll be in a building and you'll hear someone on your roof, below you, on your level in a different room, and it's just like, I definitely hear footsteps, but they're everywhere. So I don't know what this, I'm actually not getting any information from all of this other than there are people everywhere, which is something, but it's not really a cue to anything. And now you're going to also be hearing way more parachutes in that case. I would be very surprised if you were not just constantly hearing parachutes on Fortune's Keep specifically, but I don't know yet.
Dude, when I play Resurgent solos, I'm always just reminded of the countdown timer they give you to stay alive. I can't believe people don't complain about that. Like, there's nothing worse than landing back in Resurgence, trying to survive, trying to listen for audio cues, and the last 10 seconds before you get your redeploy back, because you have to land, your timer goes down to 0, then that's how you can redeploy. It's like beep, 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 and it's counting down for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's so annoying because I always think somebody's like pushing my building. I'm like, dude, why do people not complain about this? Make it like the last 3 seconds makes a sound, and also make it half of the audio level it is. That pisses me off. That's one of those things I'm like, I can't believe
all this.
I know. I'm like, I just can't believe somebody plays Resurgent solos all day, and that's like not a complaint somebody has. It's weird.
Yeah.
That is very annoying. But anyways, yeah, like you can hear parachutes further away for sure, but like you still have to listen for them. Like when I had talked about on Thursday how like that guy in front of Jake and I was going from right to left and we heard it. We also saw him. If that guy had been behind us and we didn't see him, we would have heard the noise, but like maybe not put it together that like, oh, there's somebody parachuting on us. Because it's quiet enough that it's, I think, balanced, at least at that range we were at. And it's not so loud that it's like incredibly obvious and too loud. So that's kind of
not too
another
loud.
thing too.
That's
it's
true.
not, you do have to listen for it. Like if some guy's on TV speakers talking to his IRL work buddies on, you know, prox chat, he's never hearing that. You're just not. So
on Xbox
I think it's
game chat.
Yeah. I think it's probably fine where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one of those things. I just need more experience with it as well. But pretty noticeable change there. Then a couple other little things. The final kill cam in Warzone now. It is cute when it works, and it doesn't work reliably, and I was shocked by that. I wasn't, by the way. I would say literally 50% of the games we would get a final kill cam, and the other 50% we just wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah, maybe
this has been a bug.
Less than 50. Yeah.
Maybe a little less than 50. Yeah, this has been a bug since 2019. Also, by the way.
Yeah.
BO4, every kill cam worked. MW19, no, and never since then. Literally, kill cams have just not worked since 2019. 5 years, almost 6. Well, 5 years. So let's fix it. I guess. I don't know. I don't know how it's so hard for them, but when it does work, it is cute to see. The PDS game that Tanner described earlier, I got the last kill with my pistol on a rooftop, and it was really funny to watch. As a little final kill cam. Because you land with a full auto gun, but you don't land with ammo. And it was so late game, there was no ammo to be had. So I landed across the street on a rooftop with lag. We were shooting at people and downing people, whatever, with our ARs. And then we were out of ammo. And then we were both just like pistoling in the kill cam. It was actually really funny. You can see his tracers.
Yeah.
At some guy like behind a wagon, and it like slows down. It does the whole thing. It's fun. It's neat when you're featured. But then there was another game where I got the last kill and then it didn't work. And I was excited to see it. I was like, okay, thanks Warzone. Very cool, man. So pretty cringe, but yeah, I don't know. Not much to say there. Make them work. And then I would like this feature, but
and let's be clear. They won't work. It'll never work. Yeah, let's be super clear. The next thing that would be more likely to happen is they just remove them because of some sort of bug related to it, and they just never add it back to the game. This will never work.
They
even
would
90%
sooner
of the time.
remove skill-based matchmaking than they would fix final kill cams. Yeah,
because they've never been able to do it. Unfortunately, it's so nice when it works. They just don't work most of the time, though.
Right.
And then, kind of another L. Servers have been really bad since the update. I know a lot of people talk about how bad the servers are in this game, but for the most of Season 2, it's been good. Since Season 2 Reloaded, awful. Really bad. It feels like I get random lag and packet loss often, even though the widget does not show packet loss. Already talked about it on Thursday, but I think it's like related to the latency showing NA. I think something is actually bugged and it's not just some sort of UI issue. Because servers have felt terrible at times.
Yeah, I didn't get so much of that yesterday. There were a couple games though where they were pretty bad. One thing I will say though is that it's not like other times in Warzone where if the server is bad, it's bad for the entire match and you should just back out. I have not seen that. It's more like there will be a 30-second to a minute stretch where everyone's just lagging really bad, which isn't great.
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, not the worst it's ever been in Warzone, but definitely needs some help. And this patch did not fix that or help it really at all. And then evidently the texture bug that Tanner described, or we both did, I guess, last episode, is not fixed either. That is still in the game. I don't think it will be ever. Yeah, I have not experienced it, I don't think literally one time, except for on Ashika Island, but the people who were experiencing it before this patch still are. I was watching Cope and he had it, and then I don't know if you got it at all since the update.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's literally, if you don't restart your game, usually by the third match, you don't really have textures, yeah.
Yeah, that's
there's
really
also
annoying.
An added version of it this time where you don't have guns at times. And then also there was a time where I landed back and I would shoot and you wouldn't have a gun in your hand. You wouldn't see it. You wouldn't hear it, but you would get like recoil. So like you are shooting, but there's just nothing there on your screen. So
it's pretty hard to aim that way.
If anything, it's just getting progressively worse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great. Yeah.
But like literally just restarting your game fixes it. So once it happens and you notice it, like, all right, I'm going to restart after this. And then it'll be fixed for another hour or so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing there. But anyway. And then the last note here, Ricochet banned 26,000 accounts. That's probably like 10 people because they just recycle accounts, as we've learned. And therefore, it was not super impactful. Shocker. There are absolutely still cheaters in this video game. We saw a number of them in a couple hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 that we noticed, maybe fewer than that, but enough to completely ruin a nuke that we would have 100% otherwise gotten. For example, we had a new contract. We were doing it. We had all the elements. We planted the bomb, but there was a guy who was level 4 with a cat AMR on a rooftop. I'm not kidding, 300 or 400 meters away, obviously aimbotting. And I got a kill cam where 3 of us land on the bomb. It's already armed, so we are at the finish line. We all are alive at one point. We land on the bomb. There are smokes everywhere. So the kill cam, he doesn't see anyone. But also in the kill cam, I'm watching it. Tanner didn't get a kill cam, but I did, because kill cams don't work either. And I watched the guy, level 4, aims down sight into smoke, aims at seemingly nothing, downs Tanner, and then rechambers, aims down sight into the smoke at seemingly nothing, downs me, cool, and then he goes on to headshot, I think it was Cope as well. And then Lag like stayed alive for a little longer, but then eventually, of course, we got squad wiped. And we 1,000% certainly would have gotten a nuke that game if that guy was not cheating. 100%. I'm not kidding. He was literally 300 meters away on a rooftop, like 2 POIs over, just boating his butt off. Not super cool. And then there were other games where there were cheaters as well. A lot of like low level accounts, and it's super obvious and cringe. And I was really annoyed that I was deprived of my nuke rewards because some guy was boating. Shout out to Ricochet. So is the cheating better? Probably not. If it is better in like general in Warzone and multiplayer, it's only marginally better because there are still enough of them. So maybe it's a little better now, but it's not good. So that's another fat L. Yeah.
I think that guy on a roof, because I remember marking it. I think it was 350 meters away. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I immediately got downed by a sniper and then fooled. And I'm like, oh, he's level 4. This guy's, I'm certain he's aimbotting. From that distance, I'm sprinting. He headshots me, fools me. But I didn't get the kill cam, but luckily you did, and it was obvious. It is weird too why at that distance they will still miss some shots when they're aimbotting, because that was the first time. Then when I went back, I was able to land and get the elements, and he was still trying to shoot at me, and he did miss a couple shots, and then I was able to get behind and arm the bomb. I guess it's probably just because he's using like a ground loot cat with really low velocity, and like the aimbot isn't 100%
all it does is like
at
aim
that
at
distance.
the head. Yeah.
So he was still missing shots, but he was definitely aimbotting. So that's unfortunate, because we at least have a better chance. I wouldn't say we are basically guaranteed the nuke, but we have a way better chance at it if that guy doesn't kill us there, unfortunately. So L cheaters.
Yeah, L cheaters. So, yeah. And then other than that, it's pretty much it. It was not a huge update in terms of new content, but there's a lot of new content we have yet to engage with that I'm sure we'll talk about more in the future. I'll give a rundown of those. The Vondel nuke contract. I would be interested to research that and then go for it ourselves, because again, I suspect that'll be easier than the Urzikstan contract. And even if it's not necessarily easier, it would be fun to try it. It'd be something new to do with our nuke contracts. That's something we will interface with. Although for most of you, that's not really going to be relevant. But it might be interesting to hear about. And then also mainly it's going to be Fortune's Keep. So the boat, how that impacts trying to regain, because again, our hypothesis is that it's going to make regaining possible on like ranked, for example. Whereas now it's really not, because the map, or before rather, it was really not, because the map was so small. Every location was basically controlled off rip. So that's another thing we'll talk about. The boat itself, and all of the little fun goodies that are on it. We'll know more about that as well, so I'm sure we'll talk about that. And then the Bunker Buster. There's not going to be too much to say about the Bunker Buster, but we'll use it more and talk about that as well. But mainly for Fortune's Keep, it's going to be the boat itself, how we like it, how hot it is, whatever, and then its impact on being able to regain. So, and the new gun also in Warzone. I'm going to use that more. I'm going to try the Holger 5.56 as well after its buffs. I'm very curious to see how that performs. And yeah, that's that. So till then, we will see you guys next time. We'll be back on Thursday, probably. Keep your eye on the schedule. Little PSA, by the way, our weekly schedules going forward might not be as regular as they have been. So we're still going to try and do Thursday, Saturdays at 12 Pacific time as we have been. But that might be a little more variable in the future. If that is the case, just keep your eyes on the Twitter at the Dropshot Pod or join the Discord. We post our schedule every week in those channels on Mondays. So even if our schedule is going to be changing week to week in the future, you'll still have ample warning if you want to watch live or if you want to know when to expect it in the apps. If you want to know why that is, patreon.com/thedropshot. Go listen to our latest behind the scenes. We get into that, but things have shaken up. BTS. Stay humble.
Shakers. Stay humble.